Here we are, DK, back for part 2.
In the boardroom.
In the boardroom.
Shadow Pots.
Shadow Pots. We're back to the Emerald next show. But,
Next show. Here we are. That's sort of a change of venue. A few more questions you got, didn't you, Phil? What else did you get?
Who else was there? We had a few shout-outs. So there's one coming from WA that a couple of mates over there that get together and have lunch every Friday and sort out the Perth racing, and they all have a look at our show and just appreciate it. And they're basically the main message of is another Phil actually. His email in was that been doing it for 30 years and just continually learning. So that's always a good message. You know, the market is constantly changing. You've got to evolve with it. Yeah. It's you stand still, you're dead.
Might change again. Potts National Tote Call.
Right, is that muted, is it, again?
Well, no, muted again, and all the discussion on racing on the Twitter sphere this morning, Waterhouses have had their opinion that it'd be terrible, everyone else is saying it's going to be good. Mark Hayward, Champion Bets, wrote an article or two about comparisons and things, what it'd be like for the punters. So, I know it's just a question without notice, mate.
Yeah.
Have you thought about it over time or anything? I think it'd be good to get one pool going and, you know.
I think it'd only be good if it had a low takeout.
A lower takeout. That was.
If it's a tote pool with a 15% takeout, what's the good of it? You know, it's too high. It's got to be 10 or 10. It's got to be below 10. So it'd be good to have all that liquidity in one place. Exactly. But I mean, all it is a magnet for the big teams. So they'll just
they'll play in it. That's right. Yeah, they'll put in it. Yeah, that's as they do. They're the big totes, biggest punters. But it might get some more liquidity and things. I found it entertaining that Tom said, it'll be buy best tote. And I thought, well, Tom, whenever I opened an account with one of your businesses, the first thing your risk manager said to my account, buy best tote for Dan Kelly. No, best tote for him.
I can't get best tote.
I can't best tote. Yeah, I can only get it on a joint, it'll trade me back or something.
Yeah.
So
if I want to have a tote bet now, which is hardly ever, but if I do, I have to do it with the tab.
Yeah.
Well, so it's not best tote, it's just...
don't worry about bet bears similar, so that's... being exchanged. What else you got?
Oh, we've got a question from Jack. So, sorry, Jack. Jack's he wrote to us in early spring, and we just taken a while to get to his question.
Right.
But we might come back to that because I think Brian had a bit of a question here. He actually wanted to ask of Mark Roden. It was just about what we were just talking about. He was talking to a few of the on-course bookmakers. So Brian's a regular correspondent and a ripper, and he's a regular race goer, even though I'm pretty sure he lives in Tassie. He comes over for the races regularly, and he went to both Derby Day and the final day.
Oh, right, yep.
And he was just talking about how quiet the betting ring was, despite the fact that they were betting better prices than all the corporates.
Yeah.
And
well, it's in a shocking spot, as we know. Yeah. We know there at in the new when they constructed it, they put them out the Nebraska, really.
Yeah.
So I saw some bookie reports there that James Safaris was doing over the week. That was
how funny were they?
Gary, he's a beauty. He's so I had a drink.
I met him at the last Betfair.
Yeah, I had a drink with him at the Betfair after Derby Barbie on Sunday, and he's been like that for years. Like his dad's a bookie. He's grown up around the races.
We better get him on the show. I think.
I think
he's become
his cult figure,
internet sensation.
When he cut his finger, sat on the sandwich, was doing his money. Everything,
The whole lot.
He was going to get to the big house and throw it on 35. He's a funny man. So he was with Natalie. So that's I think they got bet with us or something. Natalie Hinkley, she debuted on the rails as a female bookie, which is a great thing. She started a while ago. I think started clacking with Brian Mann or something back when I was working at the races, and she's worked her way up. So she's been a success story. Good to see.
So Brian's just generally asking about what's doing with the attitude of the clubs to the on-course bookmakers, and you know what impact is that having on the betting markets in general, and where do we see it going, and what should be done? So I know we've sort of discussed this type of thing a lot, and Brian was particularly asking this question to get Mark Roden's view on it. But look, my view is that we started warning about this sort of stuff on the back of Richard Irvine like over 12 months ago, that this is where it was heading. And it appears and I clearly remember saying what we don't want to see happen is the administrators ignore this issue, and then in 12 months or 2 years later, turnovers drop through the floor, and it's a disaster. They need to get in front of it and not just wait till it's too late. And they're getting very close. They're heading in that direction. It's getting very into dangerous territory. And my view of what's happened is for 100 years, DK, basically, so we can, there's 100 years of history there, but you've only got to look at the last 50. The betting market's always operated like a money market. Like if you went to exchange, if you're going overseas, or you're going to America or whatever, you're going to change some money over, they just clip your tickets 5% or something, it's low single digits. And if you buy shares, the transaction costs are low single digits. That's how the betting market's always operated. The bookmakers were middlemen, and they were operating at low single digits, and that's what made it sustainable. That's what made it work for so long, because it means that the punters have got an opportunity that they can win, and that if they lose, as long as they're not doing stupid things, they'll lose slowly. You know what I mean? Like, so they'll feel like they're in the contest, but what's happened because I think on the back of the increased fees, race field fees, and the POC tax, is the corporates have made the decision to treat it more like a retail product. So basically, they're treating the market like a product, adding 25% on top of it, and saying, there you go, if you want to buy it, there it is.
Yeah,
25% markup. And we're not going to. They are drag kicking and screaming to anything like a money market type low single digit percentage by Betfair and the Totes.
Yeah, and I can't say it's not their fault in the current climate. I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah,
it's the metric stated before the comes. It'd be very hard to come out of with the onerous taxation and the POC and everything and all expenses. It's going to be very hard to win money at the Spring Carnival.
Yeah,
and that used to be the biggest fill up when bookies used to go there saying, well, even if we've had a grubby year, we're going to bet up for 6 weeks and we'll get win most of what we need to win in this period. But the bookies are saying that, and as I said, there's Lambourne said this morning, with the National Tote Pool, said, just another thing that's been muted, as they're killing the golden goose.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that's throwing, it's not going to stop it, but it's they've got to be very careful. I mean, we're lucky we've got a racing minister here who gets it, but
that's clearly the corporate response to the changes that have been made to the markets. Whether by the administrators or the various taxation authorities or whatever, that's been their reaction to it. The administrators have got to recognise it. They've got to look at it and say, are we prepared to let the racing markets become just like groceries or petrol, where the large chains just mark it up and and the consumer cops it.
Yeah.
Because that's where it's going. And all that'll mean is that the recreational punters will lose far too quickly, and they'll
get the shits with it and
do
something
sack
else.
it. And a lot of people that have been able to make some money out of it, or break-even punters, will struggle. And so I'm saying there are answers here. They've got to recognise that that's what's happened, and what can we do about it? And just on touching on Brian's about, one of the answers is there have always been people that want to field at the races or want to take on bookies licences. So the answer for the administrators is to drop the entry level costs, to just make it easy to get a bookmaker's licence, to make it easy to operate online, and to just take away a lot of the regulation and just get competition back into the marketplace. They need to flood the market with competition.
Natalie Hinkley tweeted one time there, someone from the bookie was showing there's no one at the race, and she said, well, how about making them open rings?
Yeah.
Open rings. You want to be a bookie and go to the races, you go to the races.
I mean,
what
are they protecting now? I mean, what's
their own kids. It's old VBA. The people, I paid for this pitch, and the bookies have this pitch and this and that, and there's only put 4 bookies in and things like that, otherwise no one will get a bet. But that's just the old way of thinking, time gone past.
So if there is any current any value in those licences,
which there isn't,
right? So whatever there is, the Racing Victoria, one of the boys should come in and just basically buy them out and start again, because they need to. So it's like trying to protect the taxi market when Uber's there. It's there. They need to take that example and just completely deregulate the market, make it low cost of entry, reduce the taxes, just go hard at the governments about these point of consumption taxes. Otherwise, there will be no revenue for them to collect, and they need to flood the market with competition.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's only going to get worse.
You need a seat at the Wagering Summit, mate. I think it's going to be organised. Matt Welsh was saying there's one organised post-spring. I said Richard Irvine. Someone said, Richard, are you going to that? Richard's yes. We've been invited.
Yep.
So I don't know who him and maybe whoever is from New South Wales and things like that. So hopefully a lot of this stuff gets put on the table by punters to people who understand wagering to make the right decisions.
Yep.
Rather than people who don't understand wagering.
Well, I mean, that's good. That's good. I
Like,
my concern with those type of things is always it gets very complex. You know, everyone has mean ideas. I just hope they keep it really simple. The market desperately needs competition. That's the administrator's responsibility.
By the way, at the moment, there's squeezing. There's going to be none. There's going to be a few. You know, it's going to be less and less and less. And if the Tote, Sportsbet, 2 or 3 others, and that'll be it. They're going to kill it completely.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that there's a lot of people out there who would love to get involved that have got money. They just need to reduce the cost of entry. They need to make it easier to get a licence and easier to operate.
I was going to get a licence and be easier. I dodged a bullet not buying one because, as you said, they're not worth a stamp now. And then I had to put, what did I need? I needed 100,000 liquid assets. I had to find 10,000 cash to put in the bloody Rotten Bookies guarantee fund. And then I wasn't guaranteed a pitch anywhere. My first meeting was at Wodonga bloody at the P3 meeting on the Caulfield Cup Day or something like that, you know? Like,
all that's got to stop.
Fucking ridiculous.
All of that's got to stop.
Yeah, it's Danny Crimmon's time. You go to New South Wales and you don't have to go through a lot of that stuff and a lot more opportunities up there. So, but, you know, anyway.
All right, so that's Brian. We've given that a good whack. Now, Jack, who emailed us earlier in the spring. So he's just doing a pricing model. He's having trouble in that pricing model, working in what to do with lightly raced, you know, unexposed like Spruik type horses, and he's asking us, can we give him any advice as to how to deal with that?
Yeah, so it's
very difficult with a model, like when you're just trying to get
and anything with pricing. So I've got our mate Griff, so he's something similar, and he's had to stack doing the maidens stuff like that because it's just not reliable. You can't. Yeah. It's just too many variables in them, and it's just no good for if you want solid pricing. So that's for something like that. I'd be you need more data and more something you can line up everything, and obviously pricing models are love apples to apples and things like that, but you don't get with so many lightly raced horses or first starters and things like that. And a lot of my stuff with them is gut feel and things things I've learned over years, but a lot of it's in here, not how much you can progress their improvement.
So I'll just say to Jack that the best thing to do is to look at the other teams that do that and try and back model what they do and use that information. You know what I mean? Like, because they're dealing with it as well, and we all concede that they're extremely hard to beat. So they've got an idea. Yeah,
that's right. I think a good starting point is the SP, or the betting. If we can suck any betting data and the patterns from horses, first starters drawn terrible for poor trainers and ordinary jockeys, versus it's obviously always rely the best jockeys, you sort of DM'd was on a few at our rep there the other day from low draws, heavily backed, double figures in because he's on it from a low draw, and they didn't have that in previous starts and things like that. Yesterday there was an example of I've saved them through through learning. So there was a race yesterday at Benalla, favourite only having its second start, and a Rejoute from barrier 1, and a first up horse who got beaten 10 lengths in town on debut and was spelled, drawn barrier 11. Normally they can, so the pre-post put up this thing drawn 1, ran second or third on debut, 220, and this thing's $7 or $8, and what happens? And I'm thinking, I thought the favourite was vulnerable because it had bad manners and things, but I needed to see a market push, because normally those things, barrier 11,
they could go back to last,
and the market can throw them out. So all of a sudden they're playing into it. I said, well, this is going to, so you think it's going forward? Yeah. Well, it's going to be part of the action, right? And then it's really hard 380, never got into 7 into 380 and stayed there, So I said, well, I'm going to have something on it, just through the markets tell me, and I need something to take on this favourite. So it misses a start 2 links. Misses a start 2 links, back to last anyway. Shitty.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Uncovering something.
Right.
Anyway, John McCarley.
Yeah.
And of course, you're guessing. So he gets on. Zach Spain said, McArdle said, "Oh yes, I was expecting a good performance." And Zach Spain said, "Yeah." And McArdle said to me before the race that we won a race by 5 lengths at Geelong on Saturday. This thing goes as good as that.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, Zach would have known what he had underneath him when he put the start." But we're sitting here trying to. I'm just going off the betting. The betting's telling me I couldn't learn that off the form guide. Went okay in the jump outs. Well, I think it might have won one, but nothing to say it was. It's going to do what it did. Nothing in a form guide. One debut run, beaten 10 lengths. So I'm through gut feel, I made that a winning race because I learned and the betting's telling me. But you're trying to do it off a pricing model or something like that.
No, I think in those situations, the situation you're talking about, the reason that horse was hard in the market, what triggered it was probably, first of all, the people that are handling that horse know it's got more ability than you do, right?
Yeah.
They've got information you don't have.
That's right.
And that slowly filters into the market. The big teams, with their computer models, figure out a way of latching onto that at certain points and then get on the back of it.
Yeah,
and then plus they have people looking at horses in the yard.
So that's right. So it looked like it might have got back out, and obviously then the yard report came back in.
Yeah.
No, it looks ready to go. So I took some 420 or something because I thought, was this getting a rock bottom? Still got better at 11. Don't know. And then it looked like it might have got back at it, which they can do.
Yeah.
Let's say Dr. Nick or someone opposes it, it's going to map back or something from barrier 11. But they don't. When they don't take a hard set against it because he doesn't. He'll say, "Oh, let the." They need more data than that to oppose it. Yeah. It only had one run. It's 4 months ago or something. So it's bloody interesting how the models and as you said, I think it has to be a latch-on effect. Yeah. That's not the stable late making it. They might tune in and there'll be some good money there around the $5 or $6 mark, but it wasn't like a big owner or something want to back it all.
Yeah, I mean, if a horse is going well enough in track work and they know the horse has got 5 or 10 lengths more ability than it's shown in its whatever race starts it's had, that information will slowly filter its way into the market one way or another.
Yeah.
If they've kept it really quiet, it might take later. If they've got tipping machines somewhere in their group, it'll get out and it'll spread wider. But one way or another, it eventually finds its way back into the market.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would say to Jack, look at just as an example, like the sort of races you probably could look at and try and work out what the big teams do. Is that race I talked about in part 1 with Panko winning it? There was a horse with established Saturday city form. Okay, and they were able to mark Russian Camelot shorter off a one maiden win, and Highland Jack not far off a maiden win. So they'd found enough things in both Russian Camelot and Highland Jack's maiden wins to expect somewhere between 3 and 5 lengths improvement. Now you're not going to be able to do that with every maiden winner. Like some of them, that's as good as they can do.
That's right.
Some of them are going to jump quickly. Some of them are going to build slowly. You have to work all that out. But I'm saying that these teams find ways to allow enough improvement for a lot of these horses. Whether it's little signals in the time they ran, the sectionals, the visual, whatever.
I think the big ones that on the day, the jockey booking on the day.
Jockey booking, absolutely.
Craig and Oliver on them.
Yeah.
And they went on in their maiden. Ollie was on the maiden when they threw it out because the true barrier 13 was going back, but it rounded them up. So they'd thrown it out and it still won. So it was like $4 out to $6.50 or something on day 2. And they said, "You still managed to win when we sort of opposed, threw you out." And Highland Jack was Al Reardon or someone like that.
Ollie rode it at
he rode it
at Seymour.
But he was replacing Jay Rule or something.
Right, yeah, right. The previous run.
Yeah. So I reckon that the jockey bookings on the day stimulate. They're still their biggest factor.
Yeah.
The model's biggest factor.
Yeah.
As I said about Yendel being backed in, you find Callows being backed in at a few of the out wide Moes and Trolgers lately. They're going to tune on the one who'll be one of those jocks. And also with Banquo and the things that sail, Bumper Blast.
Yeah.
That was just one-way traffic for those horses because they had the good jocks, in my opinion.
And these jocks have got people around them. And they bet and they tip, and again, that's another way information feeds into the marketplace, And
it attracts guys like us to be more confident about, tipping them or pointing beyond them. So jockeys are still a lot of bread and butter stuff that stands you in good stead. Barriers, jockeys, trainers are still bloody important.
So it's a complex issue, Jack. There's no hard and fast answer. It's almost a case by case basis. But the encouragement I can give you is that there are teams out there that very proficient at doing this. I mean, they've got a lot of resources and a lot of people working for them to achieve it, but they're very efficient at working out which of these maiden winners are going to improve rapidly. Yeah. So it is possible. All right, punters, there's something there for everyone, and we'll move on and we'll attack Bendigo and plenty of maidens for you tomorrow, DK.
Yes. They're like, there's a. Seems like quantum mechanics. I asked you about quantum mechanic. What about it, Buds? That's your quantum mechanic. Packet Cranbourne gets beaten at $1.90. Hindu gets beaten 2 links in the Moonee Valley.
Well, it was slaughtered at Cranbourne.
Didn't participate.
Really. Took that part. I'm not sure what.
That's a decision in the first 100 metres we're sort of talking about in regards to tempo and stuff.
I have absolutely no doubt he was riding to instructions.
Yeah.
Michael D would not have ridden it that way off his own bat.
Yeah.
And I mean, the horse should have won that race.
Yeah.
It should win the race at Bendigo tomorrow, but I've got a feeling that horse has got a chink. You know, I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I could easily. I did that race. I could easily mark that horse $1.70. Right?
Yeah.
So it looks a proper odds-on chance on face value. But yeah, I don't know if he's a.
It might be black figures. Yeah.
It's easy to mark him that price.
But is he a genuine?
Do you really
it's
want to
Spain now too, or something, isn't it? Zed Spain.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or Jay Noonan.
I think he's a momentum rider.
He's
Zach.
momentum rider,
I think he's good.
It's Ollie-eyed. He's Ollie off though.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, interesting meeting tomorrow. Yeah, and no, plenty. Dunkeld today. Leaders, savage leaders. That'll be good. Hopefully, Simon Wild or someone, because some good Dan Bowman or Mitch Frieden, we're sending some nice horses there we can back. But plenty on, mate. Doesn't stop.
One of the incredible things I've noted over the spring to DK is just at some of these meetings out wide, the incredible riders you end up with there.
Yeah.
You can end up with Jay Mott on one of the
poor Jay Mott broke both legs. Poor bugger.
Just,
I know, but he's a go. He would have been on that horse yesterday, McCardles. That was it. We're blessed with our riding ranks.
Yeah.
Like today, Hamilton, Meach, Yendall.
Yeah.
They're just the best starting points for the day. But we're blessed in our riding ranks. And some good kids coming through too. So, yeah.
Good stuff. All right, punters. That'll do us, and we'll be back in a few weeks' time. Yeah, let's go and have something at the tea house.
All right. Cheers.